The 13th of October, Rabbi Furst, Pierke, Avos.
Okay. All right. Good morning again, Rabbi Shlomo. First, as Lou mentioned, here in Shivat Samanafshi, here in Yerushalayim, care of Zoom. Okay, share Bein Zmanim, getting ready now for Sukkot. Maybe let's start this way. Are there any particular questions relevant to Sukkot? I can focus our
Technical question
attention on.
about the sukkah.
Yeah.
If your sukkah has trees over top of it, is it still kosher as long as you don't sit under the trees?
It would depend basically on how much of the the trees covering the sukkah. In general, what people do is they trim the tree if it's possible to avoid the questions. But in general, it's only gonna invalidate the part of the sukkah which is underneath the tree. But you have to be careful because sometimes you'll forget about it, or not everybody's going to be aware of it, right? So,
Right.
uh, first thing to determine is how much of the the skach is underneath the tree. Hmm. Also depends how much shade is it really. How much shade does it throw tree in relation to the skach?
Right.
Um, yeah, it's a large amount of area that the tree's covering.
Um, no, it's actually the opposite. It's a small amount of area that we're uh, we're considering building a sukkah for Yosef, and there's a small area in his backyard which we can put it in, and there's a bunch of trees over there, and it's it's kind of difficult to figure out exactly where when we put it in exactly where we put it and how much foliage is above there, and some of the trees are very big, so I don't know if we can trim them, and it's a pretty nasty situation, but I just wanted to get the basic parameter that it could be done. It sounds like it could be done. Um, we just got to work it out.
Yeah. Um, let's see. That's in the apartment he's renting. That the area is what? He has a porch, or it's in a
He's,
in a garden, or
small, irregularly shaped backyard garden area,
okay.
and there are trees there that come from other properties, and trees that come from his property. His property, we might just cut down the tree completely, but we have to check with the landlord for permission to do that. So we've got to figure out what to do. Or we can put it in the front. But even in the front, there's foliage in the front too. And he doesn't want it in the front. So we're
How
negotiating.
much? Yeah. How big is the sukkah? How big is the sukkah that he has there?
Well, we're gonna build it. So it
Mhm.
will be pretty small, probably maybe like 2 by 2 meters.
All right, that's pretty good. Like 40%. That's okay. Um, all right. Um, what do we have here? Um, let's see. Sukkah. Um, If you want to take a look in the Sukka Aura in Tough Race Chavov, Tough Race Chavov.
Reish, Chaf Vav. Reish, Chaf. Okay, I'm at Chaf Reish Chaf Vav.
Okay. Yeah, let's start by reading the Chaber. Like,
Okay, let's see. Let's see. The first thing I think is what Ramah.
Remark, right?
Ein la asos sukkah tachas bias o elan. You shouldn't make a sukkah underneath a house or a tree.
Right.
Okay, that's the Ramah. Now the Mechaber the haoseh sukkaso tachas al ha'ilan. He made a sukkah. He made his sukkah underneath a tree. Yesh omrim she'im ha'ilan tzi lasso meruba me chamaso psula. There are those who say that if the tree, what is tilakto?
Soloso is the tail is the shadow.
The tree's shadow is greater than the sunlight,
Right.
then it's puzzle. So 50%.
Right.
B'chol inyan af im hasuka tzalasa maruba mecha masa. And the whole subject, if the sukkah's shade is greater than the sunlight, aval im ha'ilan chamaso meruba mitzilaso, but if the tree's sunlight greater than the shade, im hasuka telasa maruba mecha masa below ilan kishera. If the sukkah's shade is greater than the sunlight without the tree, then it's kosher.
Right.
So with the sukkah shade is the shade produced by the skak, correct?
That's right. That's right.
So I'm not clear what if the skak of the sukkah is more than 50%, then it's kosher, given that what the tree.
The tree's sunlight is more than its shade.
Okay. Tree's sunlight is more than its shade, and the sukkah's shade is more than its sunlight, then the sukkah is kosher.
Right.
Afilu lo hishpil ha'anafim lemata le'arvam im schach hasuka. Even if it's not, what is hishpil?
if you don't pull down the branches, the way that you would do it is that they would pull the branches down from the tree and interweave it with the ska.
Oh, so even if you didn't pull them down, ha'anafim, what is ha'anafim?
Those are the branches, right?
The branches that are below,
No, you pull them down, hishpil, to pull down lamata below.
and what is arvam?
To mix them
To mix with the schach of the sukkah. Aval im ein hasukkah tzilasa meruba mechama sa ella al yidei ha'ilan tarich sheyashpio ha'anafim v'arveim im hasukkah ve'inyan shelo yiyu nicharim. But if the sukkah's shade is not more than the sun, but because of the tree, I'm sorry, not because of the tree, but al yidei ha'ilan, through the tree, he needs to pull down the branches with the sukkah in the matter of not that he should not be, it should not be, what is nikarim, obvious?
they should be visible, right?
Visible. Okay, I'm okay. Let me read the end of the sentence. V'hei sukach rabba alehem umevatlan. It is that this sukkah, your sukkah, Rava, is batal. I'm not following.
Because you put the branches of the tree into the skach, so they become nullified with the skach. But you're not gonna do anything like that. Let's take a look at the first part of the halacha. These halachas are bending the branches down are not really so relevant. We're not going to be doing that.
Right,
Um,
right.
take a look at the beginning here. The Ramon, the Mechaber.
The beginning of Aleph,
Yes.
Mishnah Berurah Aleph. Tachas bayis kule, under a house, etc. Uva'inyan shetehei hasukkah tachas avir hashamayim. Concerning a situation where the sukkah is under the sky, dichsiv besukos teshvu chaser vavav yud vav. I don't know what yud vav is.
it's chaser vav. It's the word sukkah is lacking a vav.
Lacking a vav.
Oh,
Okay, let's see, a vav. Um,
Look at the pasuk, right? Sukkah's teshu. There's no vav in that word.
okay, Sukkos Teshvu. Okay, so the fact that the word sukkah is lacking a vav um, means what is
Since you it's required because of the fact that the word sukkah is lacking a vav. You learn that it must be uh underneath the over Shemaim, must be under the open sky.
okay. So is that implying that there can't be any shade from the tree?
Apparently, we'll see. We'll see. And there's a bit of lucky here exactly. I'll try and qualify some of this.
Dahayinu be'achas shelo yisochei aleha shnei karuyin. Um, that it is
Lo yisacho Allah Shani korov. I mean, you shouldn't put any other coverings above the coverings that you have.
above the schach.
Yes.
Below besuka shitachas sukkah. You shouldn't have a sukkah underneath a sukkah. O tachas habayit, or under a house. O ilan, or a tree. Uveso, pardon?
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Uveso gufa af im yirtzeh leishev ba bechag l'shem sukkah. His house, the body of his house, even with okay, see ya. Even if he wants to sit in it on the holiday, to sit in the sukkah, it's puzzle. The sukkah amar rachamana velo beso shel kol yamos hashana. That the sukkah is it says it's stated by Hashem, and not in his house all the days of the year. Thank you. Ve'ilan pasol sheyehe hu hasochech al dafnos hasuka mishum dim chuvar hu. That it is that his sukkah What is daphnos?
You're now explaining why is the tree puzzle? Because you're going to use the tree they put on top of the walls. That's the tree is mechuber, and that's a pasul and Scott.
What's mechuber?
Now look at the Bir Halacha here.
Bir halacha. Okay. Takas ha'ilan.
That's right.
Hayinu kishe'anfei ha'ilan hu al hasuka mamash. It is what is kishe'anfei?
That's the branches of the tree.
The branches of the tree, they are on the sukkah. Actually, they're actually, I guess, over the sukkah. Aval im hu mitzad hasukkah, but if they are on the side of the sukkah, afal pi sha'al yedei tzel ha'ilan mi mela eno magia hachama lehasuka klal. Even though that sha'al yedei, that through the or because of the shade of the tree, it follows that he does not magia. Magia is to feel.
It doesn't reach the sun.
It doesn't reach the sun. To the sukkah at all. The sunlight doesn't reach to the sukkah at all because of the tree is blocking it. Afilu haki, even so, kasher, even so, it's kasher. So
right. So this Bir Halacha is explaining that apparently there are two or three cases we can describe over here. One is where the tree is actually branches of the tree are actually resting on the schach. That's not going to be our case here at all. Another case is where the tree is the side of the sukkah, and it casts its shadow from the side onto the sukkah, blocking out the sun.
right.
In which case, that case over here, according to Bir Halacha, would be okay, would be kosher. So if a person positions his sukkah in a way that the trees surrounding the sukkah on the sides, but not directly overhead, cast their shadows in a way that the sunlight never reaches the schach, that's still being kosher.
Oh, because it's not directly blocking it. It's only blocking it at an angle.
Right, but the question is, if the trees are directly over the sukkah, and then therefore the shade does in fact block the sun.
Right.
That's not really dealt with over here.
Right. So that's the situation with the house, actually. The apartment building is tall.
Right.
So it may be that the apartment building blocks the sun from an angle. in which case I'm hearing that that's okay.
Yeah, that apparently from this beer luck would be okay.
But nevertheless, the trees could still be a problem.
Right.
Okay. Where do we go from here?
Um, Would be that let's see, the next Mr. Brewers. One second. Look at Sif Gimel. I'm going to go into a little more details on this point.
Okay, Sith Gimel. Uh, here's Gimel. Ha'osa Sukka Lamata Bebayis Tachas Hagag Shehe Siru Har Afim. So he made a sukkah underneath the house. Underneath the ceiling.
Right.
Uh, what is Shehe Siru?
Arafim, they removed the Sira, they removed Arafim, they removed the slats.
They move the slats. Afal P, even though Shenish Aru Adayan. What's Shenish Aru?
That they remained.
Even though they still remain, Ha'etzim Hadakim Shahar Afim Munachim Alehem. The trees, what is Hadakim?
Here, I mean, they're not trees here, but it's wood.
Oh, the wood, Ha'etzim, the wood, Hadakim, Shahar Afim. I don't know these words.
Documents the thin slats. You have the cross beams. The thin cross beams still remain. You remove the slats, but they left the cross beams.
Cross beams. And what's the next word? Shahar Afim.
The cross beams, the thin cross beams of wood that the slats rest upon.
Oh, munachim is they rest upon alehem upon them, that they rest upon them. Kishera, it's kosher.
Okay, so let's just stop into the Mishnah Brewers here.
Yeah, this is hard. It's underneath the house, and it's under the roof. I'm not picturing this. What does it mean? It's under the house and under the roof.
Well, okay, so let's say you had a house with a removable roof. I mean, you could take the paneling that makes the ceiling. You remove that, and you're left with the rafters.
And you put the sukkah inside the house underneath that area where you've removed the slats.
That's right.
That's what it means when it says under the house, means really in the house.
Yeah, right. Could be right. Exactly.
Okay. I see. I'm with you now. All right. So Gimel, Mishnah Brura. Here's Bet. Where's Gimel? Mishnah Brura. Here, Gimel. Ha'etzim ha'dakim. Those are the trees.
Those are the thin slats.
The thin
wood.
slats. That's right. The ha'etzim is the wood. The thin slats of wood. The thin slats of wood. Shekorin la'atish. They're called la'atish.
Right. Okay, that's what they call it. Okay. They're like the roof paneling.
Right.
Ceiling paneling.
Ceiling panels, wooden panels. Shera. So we said now the sukkah that they build in such a way is kosher. Va'afilu le'shev tachas ha'etzim atzman. Even if he sits underneath the wood itself, the actual wood. In other words, he looks up and he sees there's a crossbeam over his head. He's still okay. Afal pi shehem suchach pasol sheharei lo nik ba'u begag l'shem tzel ella kidei lases alehem har afim. Even though that it is a sukkah that is invalid, that we see it's not what's nikba'u.
That that the they become established. Nikum, they become established for the sake of the sukkah.
Even though they're not established in the roof. L'shem tzel, because of the shade. Ella, but kidei lases, in order to give alehem, upon them, harifim. I don't know, harifim.
Those are the panelings. Those are the ceiling panels.
The what?
Those are the ceiling panels.
The ceiling panels, panels. Mikol Makom, nevertheless, Kavan She'asa Ma'aseh V'Hesir Harifim. Nevertheless, since that he made he made them from a reduction of the ceiling panels, the shame Atsias Sukka Batel. Because of, what is this word, asias?
What he made these things by taking the ceiling panels down. He's actually doing this in order for the construction, the Siya Sukkah, for the construction of the Sukkah.
To I guess what to there would be no shade. Hooray, Zach. Sorry.
Right, he's doing this. He's removing the ceiling panels in order that there should be made stock for the sail, for the shade.
Oh, stock for the shade. Hooray, Zach keilu asa maaseh beguf be'etzim hahis kinas l'shem sukkah v'nis kashru. We see this, it's as if he made the body of the wood, body with wood, and established it as a sukkah, Nish Kashru, and made it kosher.
Right.
Aval im lo. Go ahead.
So the difficulty that the Mishpur is dealing with is here, because you have the rafters of the ceiling, and obviously the rafters of the ceiling weren't put there for the sake of the sukkah. Rafters of the ceiling are there for the sake of the house.
Right.
Since in the removal of the ceiling panels, you're doing that for the sake of making a sukkah, it's as if you're doing something with the rafters as well to make them part of being the sukkah.
So why don't you just put the schak on top of the rafters?
Right, that's eventually what's going to happen, exactly.
Okay. All right. Aval im lo hasir harifim kedei la'asos sham Sukka ela kad haisa mikodem biguya benuya below Gog. But if he does not reduce the panels in order to make the sukkah, but what's kach? But thus it is from before. What is benuya?
That's the building of the sukkah.
Before the building, without the roof. Um, hmm. So he doesn't remove the slats. So he's building a sukkah inside his house. And the slats are not part of the sukkah.
Right.
Kevan shelo asa shum maaseh begag l'shem asi as sukkah l'tzel. Since that he didn't make anything from the roof for the sake of making the sukkah for the shade.
Right, meaning the sukkah, you have to make a sukkah for the sake of having the shade there.
The shade from the schach.
Right.
But in this case, since he hasn't removed the roof, there's no sun, so there's no shade.
Right.
In Cain, ha-etzim o ha-koros haim schach pasol mamash. If therefore the wood or what is koros?
Those are the beams.
The wood or the beams, they are pasol schach. They're invalid. The dino kamo shikasuv saif aleph gabe ilan. And the law is like what is written in Sif Aleph concerning the tree, concerning a tree. But we said in Sif Aleph that it was kosher.
Right. That would all that's right. But only if it's going to be a minimum of the schach. If you make it a majority, then it'll be plus.
V'hayinu shekol she'ein hasuka haschach kasher raveh kol kach ad she'im yinatel mimenu. כשיעור העצים הדקים המצל עליהם.
Because you have here, if it's not going to be that you have a majority of the skach, which is kosher, it has to be that in this case where you're leaving the rafters, and if you would take any kosher skach that you wanted to put on it, take that away. If you would have a shadow being cast by the cross beams, and if that shadow of the cross beams is not going to be a majority, so therefore that'll be kosher, as long as you have a majority of kosher skach on top of it.
On top of the cross beams?
Yeah, you have to have kosher skach on top of the cross beam. Cross beams are going to be considered puzzle. So that means you have to have a majority of kosher and not a majority of puzzle.
Yeah, adayin tel misuka hasuka maruva me masa pasul. If it is still that the shade of the sukkah is more than the sun, then it's invalid. I thought we said the shade has to be more than the sun.
Excuse me?
I thought we said the opposite. The shade of the sukkah has to be more than the sun.
Right, the shade of the shade of the sukkah has to be more than the sun, and also the shade of the sukkah, the skach, has to be more than the skach puzzle. Skach puzzle. So in your case, where you're dealing with a tree, see, it's very hard to. You have to really have someone come down and take a look. I mean, first of all, if you want to remove any trees, it's not so simple that you can uproot and kill a tree. That's not so partial to do that. Depends what kind of a tree. It's yours. The branches, any overhanging branches on top of the sukkah where you want to build it. So you have to know if there's going to be a minimal amount of shade cast by those branches, whether they have leaves or not.
Right.
Hard to know. Hard to know. Usually a lot of times you have someone to come down there who knows the halachas. First you have to know if you can cut those trees down. I mean, if they're very high, you're not gonna get a cherry picker to come in and start trimming the trees. That's going to involve a lot of expenses.
Right.
The ladder is going to be sufficient. I don't know, maybe a ladder is sufficient. Um, Try and determine whether you have a clear sky above the sukkah where you want to build it.
Right. I think the key is gonna be just to see if we can find a spot where the branches are sparse enough that we can say that it's less than 50%.
Yeah, that's gonna be, we have to try and determine that. The, yeah, um, oh, you have to take a good hard look at what's going on there, you know what I mean? Mhm. Okay, fine, all right, so that, those are some of the halakhas which are relevant to the sukkah, which is underneath a tree or something else. Um, sometimes they even speak about the, question about if there are laundry lines and things like that over the sukkah as well.
I'm sorry, if there's,
Interferes with, excuse me?
oh, an awning. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, if you have an awning attached to the building, it extends over and out over where a person might be building a sukkah, that's also going to be a very big problem.
right.
Mhm. You have to check all these things. Um, like telephone lines or electric lines are not such a problem because it's not usually so much. Just
Right,
like one wire going overhead.
right, right.
But the trees, you get more complicated with trees. Also laundry line, because you could have a whole laundry that's out there on the line interfering with the kashrus of the sukkah. All right.
All right, well, thank you, Rob,
Fine.
for your,
Yeah. All right. Like I say,
these issues.
yeah, you have to take a good look at what's going on there, and see what kind of options you have.